Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gemini Twin Ascension. I'm going to try to keep this one kind of short because we did do a live over on Ophelia Grace 1111's page earlier. I did do a little bit of reading there, but I am going to talk a little bit about some of the things going on right now with me. um, Earlier today, Karmic again trying to initiate things that I didn't want. He's putting his hands and face in places I didn't, I was trying to push him away. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I thought, I was thinking, and I thought my twin's name. I said, help me. And the next thing you know, my door comes flying open, and here comes my little miniature Australian Shepherd and our little, well, he's not little, our German Shepherd Husky mixed dog just running into the room, jumping up on the bed, and wiggling in between the Karmic and I. I had to laugh about this because, getting cock-blocked by telepathy and the dogs. So, but I have trained my miniature Australian Shepherd to where if I say help, or if he hears, a sound that he deems as not something that normally comes from Mama, he comes running. And the Karmic does not like that. If I holler help, he's right here in the room with me, trying to, figure out what's going on, trying to get in between me and the Karmic, or basically anybody that's around me. If I say that, he's right there with me. So I find that one funny because I was sitting here and I'm thinking, here we go. I don't want to deal with this. And then I thought, I'm not going to say his name, but my twin's name, help me. What do I do? And here comes the dogs. So that was kind of funny, honestly. But today was my Pawpaw's birthday. I've talked about him before, the smell of sawdust and things like that remind me of him, but today was his birthday. And this actually just happened a little while ago when, after we ended the live on Ophelia Grace's page, I was sitting here in video chat with her, and I was hungry. There wasn't a whole lot in the house. I didn't feel like going anywhere, but we had oatmeal. And so I fixed my bowl of oatmeal. I'm sitting there, and it's a raisin, date, walnut, whatever. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's got raisins in it. And I'm sitting here eating that, and about halfway through it, it dawns on me why I'm eating that today. And it's one of those childhood memories when we'd spend the night with my mom and my papa. He would cook breakfast for us, sausage, biscuits. They were diabetic, so they had special things that they could eat, but they would always fix us, oatmeal. It was the kind in the canisters, that you boil on the stove. But it was always the same thing. It was butter, sugar, and raisins. And I'm sitting here eating that, and it made me smile because I know he's watching out for me. And quite honestly, I know he is not very happy with the Karmic right now. And it's like I was telling Ophelia a while ago, if he was still alive, yeah, it would be bad for the Karmic. It really would. Because Karmic actually really respected my papa. There's very few people that ever met the man that did not respect him. Children always loved him. And, he wasn't a violent man, but if he was upset with something, he was going to let you know about it. And I have no doubt in my mind that if he knew what this man is doing to his little baby doll, that he'd be very pissed off, and he would let him know it. But holidays coming up, he's always on my mind in one way or another. There's basically not a room in this house that I can't look and see something that he built, like over in the corner over there. I'm not going to show you because that corner is a mess right now. I need to clean it up. But there's what's called a telephone table. It's got the shelves, and it's got a little bench to where you can sit beside it. And he built that. It's solid cherry wood. I have my 17-year-old has a not coffee table, an end table in his room My cherry wood nightstand's in there. I have a solid cherry wood sleigh day bed that he built me when I was like 9 years old. It's up in the attic. I need to do some work to it. So I had them take it upstairs so it wouldn't get any further messed up. It basically just needs some wood glue and everything on it and clamp back together. But I don't want it broken, so I've got it stored for right now. I have a coat rack that's hanging right on the outside of this wall out there. I've got a coffee table. I've got all sorts of stuff in this house that he made. So he's never far from my mind. And I know he's looking out for me. And, there's just small little things that, like the oatmeal thing, is just like, I'm still here. I'm still watching over you. Everything's going to be okay. And, I just said, his baby doll, that's one of the things he always called me. And I can remember the last time I saw him, it was Father's Day of 2008. And he was already really sick. They had a hospital bed set up in the dining room for him. And I hugged him and kissed him. And he said, "I love you, baby doll." And I looked at him and I said, "I'll be back to see you soon." I said, "I love you." I said, "I'll be back to see you soon." And the look in his eyes, he knew that he'd be gone before I came back. And I went to walk out the door. And this is one time that I really, really wish I would have listened to my intuition, because I got into the kitchen, because the dining room was here, and then you walk to the kitchen, and then there's another door to the outside. Well, I got to the kitchen, and someone told me, "Stop, turn around, go back and give him another hug, because you're not going to get to again." And I didn't listen, because I couldn't believe that he'd be gone. This man, this wonderful, loving, cared about everybody. But like I said, if he was mad at you, he was going to let you know. If we did something wrong, he let us know, but he wasn't hateful about it. And as I walked out that door, I couldn't believe that he'd ever leave. He couldn't. He was the strongest man I've ever known, in more ways than one. And I can still remember the day I got the phone call. It was just like 2 weeks later, 2 to 3 weeks later. And it was my mom calling. And the time of day that she was calling, she should have been at work. She shouldn't have been calling me. And when I answered the phone, just the tone of her voice when she said my name. I mean, that's all she said. She said my name. I said, "Mama, don't say it." I said, "Please." Sorry. I said, "Please don't say it." And she said, "Your papa's gone." And I let out a scream, and I dropped to the floor. And then Carmen came running in there. And just the look on my face that he knew. And I said, "I can't. He's not. I can't." And I have to give it to the karmic. He was strong for me during that time, because it was awful. He started making phone calls because my mom asked, "Well, can you get a hold of my sister?" Because she was at work. She lived close to us. She was at work. And I told the karmic, I said, "I can't do that. I can't tell her because that's how do you tell your sister? That's not something you ever want to have to say because we were both so close to him. And so the karmic did. He did it for me. He went out there to where she was working, went to the office, had him call her in, and he told her. And then, of course, we had to play roundup with the kids. And I don't have any tissues in here, so yeah, I'm sorry. I had to play roundup with the kids because my daughter was in summer school because it was when we were just learning she was dyslexic. So she was in summer school and they had a field trip that day. So we were running all over town trying to find her to get down there to my mom because I could feel it. And even now I can still feel her heart break over it. To get down there to my mom. And that side of my family is such a close-knit group. I mean, you walk into into my mama's house, my mama and Pawpaw's house that he built when my mama was pregnant with my mom, and it's my safe space. I mean, you can just feel the love in that house. It's indescribable. And the only thing, his death ripped at us all, but it just brought us all that much closer together. And I can remember my male cousins were the pallbearers, and every one of them wore, and I think some of them were actually my Pawpaw's shirts that he'd actually worn. Every one of them wore, because he always wore these regular blue jean the snap up shirts, because that's what he wore. If he wasn't at church, he was in Wrangler jeans and a Wrangler snap up shirt or a white t-shirt. Well, he always had the white t-shirts underneath anyways, but that's what he always wore. So that's what all of the grandsons wore for his funeral. And he's buried out there at the church by where my mama and papa were married. My Aunt Diane, who passed away 4 years ago, the day after Thanksgiving, she's buried out there with him as well now. But he's still here. There's times when, I miss you, and the one thing I miss the most is his hugs. It didn't matter what was going on, what kind of heartbreak you were going through. All he had to do was wrap those arms around you, the best bear hugs you could ever have, and everything just seemed all right again. And right now, I would give just about anything to be able to have one of those hugs again. And this is not where I was planning for this video to go, but apparently I needed to get this out. Because he's just, and I could almost smell it now too, the cigarette smoke, because for years, I mean, that's part of what actually ended up getting him. He was a coal miner carpenter, and black lung and COPD is actually really what got him. And I could still smell the stale cigarette smoke on him. And especially when he gave you a hug. But then I can remember when my daughter was, well, I can't remember how old she was. She was 4 or 5 years old, maybe. We went out there to see him, and he was smiling. He's, come out here to the shop. I got something to show you. And of course, I followed him out there. He was always showing us the stuff that he makes because he was so proud and he was so talented with what he did. Walk out there into the shop, and we still have it. I think it's up in the attic. I don't think my daughter's taking it with her yet. It was this adorable little baby doll cradle. I mean, he was beaming from ear to ear. And he said, I made this for and said my daughter's name. He said, but you've got to go ahead and take it now. He said, because I didn't have enough wood right now, and I don't have the time to make one for all of the grandgirls. And there wasn't that many grandgirls at the time. It's just, he took his time when he made things. He made sure it was done right, and they're beautiful. He said, so you've got to go ahead and take it now and give it to her. And we ended up putting it underneath the tree that year for her. But she knows where it came from. And I mean, he was always so proud of everything. I can remember when the Karmic and I were, this is, been years ago. My 17-year-old was a baby at the time. And we moved into this trailer. And all the Karmic and I had was a full-size box spring mattress, and it was on the floor. Well, my mom and Papa came by to visit, just to see the new place that we had moved into. And it was small. We had the 3 kids that we had at the time were in one room, and the Karmic and I had taken the smaller of the 2 bedrooms in the trailer, so there'd be more room for the kids and their toys. Well, he walked in and he kind of looked at, and I kind of opened the bedroom. Of course, there were still boxes and everything. And this is our room. And I can remember him kind of looking down at the floor and seeing the mattress and box spring on the floor. And he goes, didn't think much about it. A week or 2 later went by. And again, he does this a lot. He said, well, I've got something out here in the shop I want you to look at. And he couldn't take his little baby doll sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I still have this one as well. It's up in the attic. He built a full-size bed frame to get my mattress and box spring up off the floor. I mean, he was doing all sorts of stuff like this for us all the time. There's a house down in Kentucky where I grew up that if I had the money, oh my gosh, I would buy this house in a heartbeat. Although I've seen pictures of the inside of it now, and I want to scream because they've painted the staircase, they've painted the kitchen cabinets. But there is a staircase and kitchen cabinets in that house that my papa made, because when my mom and dad bought that house, it was a 2-story house. But the upstairs was kind of a separate apartment, so the only access to the separate apartment was through the outside. Well, my mom and dad didn't like that idea, didn't want their daughters, having to go outside and to get to their rooms, because they put our bedrooms upstairs. So, weeks of dust and dirt. And it's kind of funny because part of the staircase and a lot of the kitchen cabinets were made out of the pig pen that was at the back of our property, because it was a little 5-acre farm. It wasn't, you couldn't really call it a farm. We had horses, but that was it. Little 5-acre thing, but there was a pig pen at the back that had a solid oak floor to it. So my papa pulls all these boards out and takes them, planes them, cleans them really good, and he builds the staircase and the kitchen cabinets out of this oak wood, and they were so beautiful, natural wood. Mama didn't want them stained, didn't want them painted. She wanted them left, the colors, the natural color, and they were so beautiful. And that's actually where the Karmic and I were married. We were married in front of that staircase, because it come down and had a landing, and then came down this way. We were kind of married in the corner of the landing. But if I ever had the money in that house ever come up for sale again, you can bet your ass that I'd buy it. Whether I could actually still live in it or not, it would be mine. But he was a wonderful, wonderful man. And like I said, this is not where I intended for this to go, but like I said, it apparently needed to come out for some reason or another, and I'm sure he'll make that clear to me eventually. I just noticed I do have a viewer, and I don't know, it's probably more than likely Ophelia. She's trying to go to sleep, if it is her. I will pull a few cards, not a major read, because I'm trying not to, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm trying not to snot all over everything now. I needed that, but thank you, Pawpaw, I love you. Like I said, we did a reading earlier over on Ophelia. Well, I came in about halfway through the reading on Ophelia Grace's page, so I don't honestly think the energies have changed a whole lot since we did that, but I will do a little bit, and I'll see if anything else comes up that I needed to discuss. But thank you for making me smile tonight. I needed that, and I sure do miss you. He always, all of us kids used to go out there, and we almost fight over the brooms to be able to help clean the sawdust up off the floors of his shop. Uh, and we do it in secret, you know, secret. He wouldn't be out there, and we'd be hurrying up, working, trying to get it done before he'd come out there. Of course, he knew we were out there. He knew what we were doing, because it was one of the things that we always loved to do. And I think he purposely left the sawdust there just for us, because he knew that we wanted to help clean up. And he'd come out there, oh, you know, real surprised and happy that we had been such big helps, you know, sweeping the sawdust up, helping him keep the shop clean. And but like I said, he purposely left it there, wanted us to, you know, it made us feel like, you know, big girls and boys, we were out there helping Pawpaw in the shop. So he would purposely leave the sawdust there for us to clean up for him. You know, because he was, okay. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to do something. I think I know what that's about. And I'm just double checking. Yeah. Okay. You know how I do this. Messages from the masculine to the feminine, feminine to the masculine, and then from the universe to both twins. Well, for the masculine, we have the devil, which is manipulation, self-enslavement, which what I'm getting from this is he's feeling trapped, but it's a trap of his own making that he can easily get out of, but he is being manipulated by other, you know, outside forces, karmics. For example, my twin, it could possibly be the karmic on his end, you know, well, if you leave me, I'm taking the boys, blah, blah, you know, keeping him trapped to keep from losing his boys. But part of the enslavement is of their own making. You know, they're not bound that tightly in most cases. Like I said, in my twin's case, it is a little more complicated for him, but they see the manipulations. They're working on getting out of that. They're working on, you know, breaking those self-imposed bondage straps. So, not funny, I know. But the self-imposed enslavement that they're realizing now is just an illusion. They can break free of that whenever they so choose to do it. And then, yeah, I'm having to check the book because my mind is, yeah, I wasn't expecting. Okay, well, this is kind of, I don't know why I even had to look at that, but from the feminine to the masculine, we have the Ten of Cups. We know what we want. We know that there's some work to be done to get to it, but we know how happy and stable that we can be with our masculines, and we're wanting them to see that as well. And then the universe is kind of, and then this does also mean choices, but right now I'm not getting that it's the choices vibe. It's the lovers. The universe is saying to both twins, you know who you're meant to be with. You know that you have that love there for each other. do the work, do what you set out to do in this lifetime, so that you can come together and help raise the vibrations of the planet. It's what you were contracted to do. It's why you've been put through hell at times, but it's all for a purpose. You're not going through all of this just to see how far, to see what you can take. Although I've become aware that I'm a lot stronger than I realized. That the universe it's their little nod to us. Do the work, ask for the help. We'll be there when you need us. Is there anything else, babe? It's like there's way too many. Earlier, one of the cards, the Divine Feminine card that came out, the Divine Feminine Oracle card that came out, was talking about, the unconditional love. And I did start talking about, earlier today, I did send my twin a message, 11:11 on the clock. It was just, I'm just letting you know I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing okay. I miss you. And I sent it, and I'm not expecting a response right now. It's just, letting him know that, yes, I'm thinking about him. Yes, I care about him. Because I know, really, the Knight of Wands again, travel, yeah. I know that he's dealing with some stuff right now, and he does not have the capacity, the mental clarity right now to give me the attention that he wants to give me, that he thinks I deserve. So he doesn't want to come towards me with a half-assed effort. He wants to be, it's kind of almost the ego talking. He wants to be, the big, strong man. And no, babe, you don't have to be that way with me. And I've told you this. I can be your strength just like you are mine. I've told him this before. I mean, you keep me grounded. You keep me from doing things that could make a bad situation worse. But at the same time, I want to be able to do that for you. I know you don't like talking about your problems because you say, talking about them doesn't help. It only makes things worse. No. If you talk about it with somebody that you care about, then you can see a way through that problem. It's like when Ophelia and I talk, we talk quite a bit. It's not just for us to rant and rave, well, they did this, they did that. Oh my God, what the fuck are they thinking type of shit. It's, in talking to each other, we hear, ourselves, we hear our problems. And it helps us see clearly through the problem to understand, why it's happening, what it's trying to teach us. And a lot of the masculines are still in that archaic thinking that they have to be the problem solvers, that, don't talk about your feelings, don't talk about your problems, work them out on your own. And that is such a archaic way of thinking. It is okay to show your emotions. It is okay for you to talk about your problems with someone else. Maybe someone else has been through what you're going through and can offer some sound advice for you. Or just the simple fact of, talking about it with someone else, you can hear yourself and like, oh, wait, I know how to fix this. So for my own twin, I will say this time and again. I will always ask you if you are okay, even if you're going to, try to save my feelings and try to save me from worrying about you by saying, I'm okay. Then I clearly know you're not. I feel it. I know it. It's not, for me, it's not just a, polite thing to say, well, are you okay? How are you doing? If I ask someone that, 9 times out of 10, I mean it. I want to know if you're okay. And a lot of times I already know that you're not. So, sorry, I almost said his name. I had to stop myself. Sir, talk to me. Tell me what's going on. Please stop being afraid of it. Other masculines, if you come across this as well, start opening up. Know that your feminine is not asking this just to be polite, just to, just to have something to say. They genuinely care about you. They want to know what's going on. Even if they already know, they want to know it from you, want to know that you care enough to share those emotions with them, to be a little raw with them. I'm sorry, he's wanting to talk. They care about you, masculine. They want to know the truth. Trying to spare our feelings isn't going to do either one of you any good. You're going to keep your emotions bottled up to the point where you're going to explode in the wrong way to the wrong person. And yes, sometimes you may end up lashing out at your feminine without intending to. So your feminine asking you that is a way of her helping you release some of that pressure, get it out of your system, because what is disease? It's dis-ease. You don't talk about it. You don't get those emotions flowing. They're going to get stuck, and they're going to manifest in other ways. Like my own masculine, he works, doesn't talk about his problems. Next thing you know, boom, he's off work for a week because he's worked himself sick. Work through them, talk about it, and you'll be amazed at, how your life is going to change. That's like, I tell my masculine, there's times that I think I share too much. And of course, he is the type, he is very upfront about that. If I say something that's, makes him a little uncomfortable, he'll tell me, I think that was a bit much right now, because it's still new ground for both of us. It's difficult given our separate situations, the karmic situations we're in. We're trying, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to, my hips are hurting again. We're trying not to, and that's not going to work because my foot's cramping up. Okay, there we go. We're trying to navigate this as best we can without getting, I'm not going to say too involved because it's beyond that. But there's certain things that both of us do try to hide from each other right now. And I know that's unhealthy. It took me a long time to admit to him what was going on here, what the karmic was doing to me. And before he realized exactly how bad it was, because I'd make little comments, I can remember one time, I was like, well, I can finally breathe. He's left for work. And his reply was, babe, are things really that bad at home? And, I said, well, they can be at times. I said, there's times of it that it's good. And I will admit, there are times that the karmic and I do have fun. But there's always that in the back of my mind, okay, this is, when's the shoe going to drop again? When's he going to explode? Or when's he going to make some snarky-ass comment? Or, bring something up that happened 6 years ago and, start getting hateful again. I said, there are times that it is good, but more often than not anymore, it is a fight. And then when the shit really hit the fan back in August, I was talking to my twin. I got a dog for all of it. And he kept me really grounded. I mean, he sat there with me and he talked to me for a good 2 hours, calming me down, and I told him, I said, you keep me grounded. I said, you kept me from making a bad situation worse, because at the time, I was set to run. And I was going to, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I was going to run to him. But it wouldn't have been a good idea for either of us because the karmic would have tracked me, and I know he would have. And he would have tracked me to him, and it would have made the situation worse for me. God, he would have exploded, and it would have made the situation really bad for my twin as well. So he did. He talked me down. He calmed me down, and he said, "Well, just be patient. You'll figure it. You'll figure out what you need to do." And he was actually on the road at the time. He was headed to a place. He was working on a new plant, and he said, "Well, I'm almost to the hotel." He said, "I'm pretty tired." So I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna find something to eat because I realized I hadn't eaten anything since early that morning." And that was the last time I heard from him for like 3 or 4 days. And then he messaged me. He said, "You sit sitting here thinking about your problems." He said, "It's really stressing me out." He said, "And I don't want that." And it kind of hurt. I'm not. It hurt. But I sat there and I thought about it, and I realized why it stressed him out, because I was being hurt and he couldn't be there to stop it. And I told him, I said, the last thing I wanted to do was to stress you out. You asked me what happened. I told you the truth. I won't lie to you. I know how stressed you are, and the fact that I'm the reason for part of that stress. I said, it hurts me. And I know that's not what you were intended on doing when you told me this. But I understand. I said, I will give you the space you need to figure out what's going on, figure out, what triggered you on it. But I will be here to talk about it when you're ready to come back. And of course, he's always said, sooner or later, I always come back. And it's like a magnet. We cannot stay away from each other for very long. We're all talking, granted we live far apart, but we talk quite a bit. And I think that other than when I first figured out that he was my twin, I think that's the longest we had ever went without talking. It was close to a month. Actually, it may have been a little over a month before he messaged me again. But, he's like, "I'm sorry." He said, he apologized. He said, "I had to work through some things. I didn't push. I didn't ask. I know when he's ready to tell me, he will." But after we got past that, it was falling right back into, like nothing. No time had passed. We were talking like normal. And I know a lot of twins are having issues right now with doubts and thinking they can't make it work. Take it from me, no, we are not in physical union, and no, right now I haven't heard from him for a little over a week. But I know he's there, just like I know my Pawpaw's there. See it, I feel him all the time. I know he loves me. I know when it is our time to be together, we will be together. We will figure out a way to make everything work. And you just have to, there are a lot of tests a lot of the twins are dealing with right now that revolves around that their commitment to each other is being tested, whether it's from a masculine trying to push his feminine away, or if it's the feminine being in her own head and her own ego that she's doubting things. A lot of us have said this over and over and over. You say something to the universe enough, but they sense that little bit of doubt in you, and you say, "This is what I want. This is what I want." But the universe is like, "Okay, we hear you, but we also sense that little bit of doubt that you're unsure that this is what you really want. So we're going to send you this test to make sure that you're sure of what you really want." And we all have a chance to pass those tests. as long as we work from right here, work from the heart and not from here, not from the ego. The ego is what deals with, the lack. Well, I have to get this before I can be happy, or I don't have enough of this, so I'm going to do this. And when you start working from your heart and know that whatever you need is going to be provided for you, things will start changing so rapidly. And I've tried to get this into the karmic's head, I don't know how many times, because he's constantly bitching and bitching and bitching. He hates his job, he hates this, he hates that. What do you actually care about? What do you, makes you happy? And of course he says, you're the only thing that makes me happy. No, that's not healthy. That's codependent. If your happiness depends on someone else, then it's not your happiness. You have to find it in here. Be happy on your own. It's like that Will Smith quote, her happiness is not my responsibility. The karmic's happiness is not my responsibility. Nobody else's happiness is your responsibility but your own. Granted, with children involved, it's a little different. I'm sitting here thinking, it's my job to make my kids happy. It's my job to teach my kids how to be happy, to find the pleasures in the things that they love. Like tonight, my 13-year-old, very athletic, but he's late in coming into playing basketball. And when you've got these other boys that have been playing for several years together, he's experiencing something right now he's not used to, of having to sit on the bench, not always being in the game to play. But he did get to play tonight for the last 30 seconds of the game. And he made a steal. Granted, he was so excited about going down the court that he got a little ahead of himself and lost control of the ball and fell and caused a turnover after he made the steal. But it's kind of, a lot of people are, I can see a relation in that. I'm trying to find the words because I know what I'm trying to say and I've got to get it out. A lot of people, they make one success and they're so happy, so gung-ho at it that they rush, headlong into something and completely lose control of the situation and drop the ball. Slow it down, understand divine timing, and things will work out. If my son would have slowed down a little bit on his break down the court, had a little bit better control over the ball, he would have scored. He was wide open, but he was just, like I said, he's not used to having to sit on the bench, and he was so excited to be out there in the game, and that he made this steal, and he just took off, and he lost control of it. And that's what happens with so many of us. We get this little bit of bad news, and we rush with it. We completely spin out of control with it, and then we're sitting there on the floor. Somebody else has the ball at the other end of the court. Learn to control your happiness. Your happiness will radiate out, and other people will feel that. And yes, it can help other people feel the happiness too, but you are not responsible for anyone else's happiness. And I don't really remember half of what I've said so far, but like I said, I wasn't intending on it being this long, and it's at 44 minutes now. And I have no clue who's sitting here, who's watching me right now. But if you've watched this long, thank you for watching. I apologize for the whole, runny nose crying thing, but I honestly think I really needed to talk about him tonight. Well, it is his birthday still for a little bit longer, and he would have been 90 today. Yeah, because my you're older than me again. My cousin turned 40 today, because he was, born 6 months before me. So yeah, my papa would have been 90 years old today because he was 50 when we were born. So if you've watched this long, thank you. I hope y'all have a good night and see you next time. Oops, not what I wanted to do. I don't want that on there, right? Okay.